Mercy Black is a new horror movie directed and written by Owen Edgerton and tells the story of a young woman named Marina, played as an adult by Danielle Pineda from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, who is trying to piece her life back together after something horrible that her and one friend did to another friend as a way to summon an imaginary demon that they made up, or an imaginary phantom they made up called Mercy Black, that if they made, a blood sacrifice to her, she would come to life and she would cure Marina's mother. It's really kind of stupid. Why do kids insist on doing this kind of stuff? Like, look, this is just a shirt, let's summon demons. You're not actually supposed to summon demons. That's a pretty bad idea. This also has Janeane Garofalo as her doctor. And in the very beginning, you have these flashbacks that show what Marina and her friend did to a young woman named Lily, and you get to find out later what happened to Lily because, spoiler, she didn't die. This movie really isn't very good. It was just thrown on Netflix. I had not heard of this before, but was like, okay, it sounds silly, it sounds cheesy, I'll check it out. And I will say, I've seen far worse. This is not as bad as Velvet Buzzsaw, and it's not as bad as The Prodigy, though there were elements that sort of reminded me of The Prodigy. With this, it was your standard horror movie, the typical things that go bump in the night, a whole lot, like a couple red herrings. Not a very big cast movie. There are, some flashbacks that have have the girls played by, younger versions of themselves. Obviously, not obviously as adults. It just didn't really click for me. It was very typical, and the whole idea was like, okay, they kind of were going in a direction. Did Marina make all this up? Like, all this stuff where, her and her friend Rebecca, did they actually, think this was real? They tried to sacrifice their friend Lily, but didn't end up going through with it. And then you get to see what happens in their adult lives. Well, Janeane Garofalo, who plays the doctor, Dr. Ward, decides to release her after 15 years in a psychiatric facility, release her to the care of her sister, who's played by Elle Lamont. And she has a young son named Bryce, so therefore, he's the nephew of Marina. And the sad thing is everybody's just a very one-dimensional character. Nobody is particularly bad in this movie. I do want to say that, and that's why it's not the worst thing I've seen this year. The problem is, especially like the opening, like 10, 15 minutes, once Marina gets settled in her sister's household, there's an on-again, off-again boyfriend that seems fine at first, but then it becomes obvious that he's got a more sinister agenda. This whole thing with Mercy Black turns out to kind of sparks an urban legend. There are kids and young adults that are trying to do this and copycat all this stuff and kill their friends as a way to bring life to this supposed, imaginary phantom that may not actually be imaginary. The problem is this boyfriend that's played by Dwight from The Walking Dead, which I'm not familiar with The Walking Dead, but when I looked at his IMDb, that was the one thing that leapt out. So any Walking Dead fans, if you happen to be watching this, yeah, you get to see whoever Dwight from The Walking Dead is. Austin Emilio, he wasn't bad, but it's just, again, it's very stereotypical one-dimensional characters. He even confronts Marina about, like, you should tell your story, you should tell it on your, you should tell, like, on TV and everything, make a book out of it, get some money out of this, piece your life back together. Basically, he wants to cash in on other people's tragedies. Okay, it is what it is. And from there, it's like the whole thing is Mercy Black real? Is she fake? Is Marina just imagining this? Is it just a psychosis? Is Bryce suddenly just getting into this stuff as an impressionable young man? And it turns out that a whole bunch of shit is actually going down, and there's a little more stuff to it as well. There's this librarian character, and by the way, yes, there are spoilers. There are spoilers in the title. I mean, right there, if you're not really clicking on this, or if you're clicking on this and get upset about the spoilers, sorry, I put it in the title. But there's this librarian character that actually, is trying to help Bryce and everything. Well, she's got a sinister agenda, because in one of the flashbacks, one of the fingers, I believe this finger gets chopped off. Well, who do you think's got the missing finger? That's right, it's the librarian that seems like she's so helpful. But no, she wants to get at Marina any way she can, because it was a whole blood oath thing you promised. It was a way to bring her back to life. And yeah, everybody gets killed off or written off in really stupid ways. And it's just not very scary. Like, the jump scares are absolutely nothing. There's a few atmospheric shots, but not really much of anything of note. there's this one really stupid point where it's like the budget was obviously very small. I'm not going to fault the director or anybody that tried to do what they could with it. And again, none of the performances are bad, but near the end, the whole thing of Mercy Black coming to life, it's this weird scarecrow-like creature that ends up killing the boyfriend early on, the on-again, off-again boyfriend. And that's in a pretty cheesy way. In fact, it's got this one point where the camera just pans around him, and it's really stupid. But she ends up being real. This whole thing of, like, you know, a really cheesy, like, you know, puppeteer look, and it's just really bad. It's a really bad, like, just cheap way to do it. And whatever, again, you know, they could be just trying their best, and I'm certainly not going to fault them for that, but there are certain things you probably shouldn't try when you got such a cheap budget. And this thing was made for more than $100,000. I would actually be amazed. You do what you can with it, but yeah, the puppeteer work, it was just really bad. Like, a bigger budget might have helped with this, but maybe not. The story is very basic. It was just very blah. And, you know, Bryce, despite all his, despite seeming normal, gets taken in by Mercy Black and then ends up, you know, killing somebody because he made a promise. If you make a promise to Mercy Black, you have to follow through with it, or otherwise it'll haunt you. Yeah, everybody gives a stock performance in this. There's a poll up there. It's a very basic horror movie. I'm not going to say don't watch it, but if you do watch it, don't expect much. I hope all the cast goes on to do bigger and better things. Everybody's got to start somewhere, and is what it is. It's got a couple name people. I mean, Janeane Garofalo, she's been in quite a few things. And Danielle Pineda, sorry. I mean, if I get that wrong, I apologize. She's fine. She did a decent performance, but everybody else was basic. But again, again, pull up there. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.